All right, so now white balance and color temperature. So as I was mentioning before, was different sources of light have different color temperatures. Daylight color temperature is measured in Kelvin, and different sources of light have different Kelvin temperatures. So daylight, for example, is around 5600 Kelvin. Tungsten, which are your normal old school light bulbs, not the fluorescent kind, but just the regular kind of light bulbs, that's around 3200 Kelvin. Generally then, daylight or sunlight is bluer, and tungsten are more orangish or yellow-orange. Fluorescent lights tend to be either green or purplish in their hue. And what are some other common lights? Oh, LEDs. LEDs also kind of tend to be green or maybe purple. So you have to be aware of what light sources are affecting your image, and adjust on the camera to get the proper white balance. So what I've done is I've set up this camera on I call this guy, it's my version of a hi-hat for DSLRs, or at least the tripod system that we use. It's the poor man's hi-hat, actually. So I have the SL1 on here, and I'm gonna just kind of cycle through some different white balances so that you can get a sense of how it might affect an image. And the room that we're shooting in is currently lit with fluorescent lights. So right now the camera is shooting with the fluorescent white balance setting. Now this is daylight white balance in fluorescent lights. So you'll see it's gone much warmer. If we change to tungsten, you'll see that it's much cooler. So just kind of be aware though, and this is, I guess, kind of trial and error, that when you're in different lighting situations and you cycle through the different white balances, you'll see that how it changes and affects the image. One thing to keep in mind is different cameras and different manufacturers of cameras will render color differently from each other. So it's one of the reasons why we shoot all Canon cameras for the most part, is so that it's easier for us to match the images later in post. And if we set everything to daylight on all of the cameras, the color looks pretty much the same or similar among all the different cameras. Whereas we used to have some GH2s back in the day, and matching the color was a little bit more challenging between Canon cameras and the Panasonic. Matching color temperature between cameras can be a challenge, so just be aware of that. And for us, I think the simplest solution was just to use the same brand cameras. And the other benefit of that, just as a side note, is then it's easy to share different lenses, different accessories when it's all the same brand. And especially even if you have like the same models, that might even be easier, because then you can share like batteries, CF cards or SD cards or what have you, and just something to keep in mind. So again, maybe just try and, when you're setting your color balance, look at what the skin tones are doing, and do they look natural? Do people look good? Or you can go the other way. If you're trying to create an effect, if you want the sky to look bluer or more red, like a beautiful sunset, then you can play around with different color temperature in camera. You can do these kinds of things in post as well, but sometimes it's easier or it looks better if you do it in camera. And I think with experience, you'll begin to learn a little bit more on how to do that. If you have any kind of questions on that, please let us know in the comments, and we'll be sure to help you out. I'm Jeff Orig, and check us out at origmedia.com. Thanks.